Welcome back.
Hello, my friend. Welcome to the channel. Today is September 11th, and our topic is what would less look like? It begins with a quote by Seneca. Let us get used to dining out without the crowds, to being a slave to fewer slaves, to getting clothes only for their real purpose, and to living in more modest quarters.
What does less look like? Yeah. I think that the title speaks to me more than the quote itself.
I'm curious why he's saying this. It sounds like he's saying this in response to something get used to this so that ...
Mm-hmm.
And so when he says being a slave to fewer slaves, the idea is that we can get trapped in wanting more, and now we're constantly living with this feeling of lack, no matter how much we get.
Where lack is one, right? Or I don't know if he meant slaves that way, but like you might feel enslaved by the more. Because you want more internally, you now have to go do all kinds of things that you might not want to necessarily be doing anymore. But the more is making you doing that, right? So if we reconcile the internal conversation with ourselves about this more, why do I want more of that, this or that or that? That might be something that I think that's where kind of the issue is, or if it's an issue, More. Yeah, it's a weird thing because what's wrong with wanting a raise, let's say, at your job? I would look at it well, no, there's nothing wrong with it. I want to, yeah, of course I want it, right? So there's this, that's how subtle the wanting more is or something,
I continue to have this confusion with the Stoics, which is, where does wanting something become problematic?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's actually different in each different situation. And I haven't heard them talk about that switch from, this is a normal thing to want because I'm a human being that has needs, and those needs need to be fulfilled on a regular basis in order for me to continue surviving. So wanting is very important as a survival mechanism. But where does that turn into not a good thing? And I haven't yet heard them talk about how to tell the difference between wants that are kind of benign and then wants that are maybe a slippery slope or are already a dangerous thing to want. If I go to non-duality and I look at it through the prism of non-duality, they would say wanting things is totally fine. The question is, are you going to be disappointed if you don't get it?
I mean, that's a good, I like that, that's a good, imagining it ahead of time to say, would I be disappointed if I didn't get it? Oh, I would be disappointed. Oh, okay, then that's maybe the want, the want is too strong or something, that's how we can maybe dial it up and down depending on would we be disappointed if we get it or not. If we wouldn't be disappointed, then your want is good. Keep going, wanting it.
And it's so interesting because wants arise at a deeper level than a thought, and so their tool, the Stoics' tool, is the reasoned choice. It's their tool is basically well, think about all of this stuff consciously and call yourself out on the ways in which you're not living according to reality. which is great. Like, that's a great tool. It's just that thoughts happen later than wants. Like, a want arises before there's a thought that says, I want this. It's more instinctual. It's more like, it feels like it's more chemical or hormonal or something. And so I guess my curiosity there is like, okay, like, let's say I have a want, and I'm like, yes, I can foresee myself being disappointed if I don't get this. Is the solution then to come in with this very cerebral process of like trying to think through consciously what's going on so that I can free myself of the instinct to want something? Am I making sense?
No, it makes sense. Yeah. No. Yeah, you make sense. I am. I just don't have the answer for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It makes sense of what you're asking, and but what the answer is for specifically for you is yeah, that's that yeah, we gotta keep asking that question, you know what I mean?
That's really two things with the Stoics. Like, one is I've not gotten the clarity that I want on the wanting.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing with Stoics is that oftentimes it is just a just do it sort of directive, and the process is missing. So I'm running into both of those with today's with today's entry.
Yeah, it's hard to. Yeah, that's hard to, because each of us probably have a different even the mechanism of wanting, like how strong it is to what items, to what, maybe it's not even an item, maybe it's something more deeper or something, or more spiritual or something, but you know, like even like I want to understand myself, right, or things like that, like those are good wants, right? So like not wanting anything is that seems like too much, and B, it seems like it's not really that's not even achievable, and it shouldn't even be tried to be achievable. Why would you want to go down to some path of saying no to yourself every time? No. Like, what's the point of that, right? Like, I would look at it more from like no. Oh, I notice when I want something really bad, and I can't stop myself from wanting it. Like, okay, it's okay to wanting it, continue to want it that way, but just kind of like, so it doesn't become this punishment or something, right? Like, I think that's a super important thing for me to say to myself, so I don't punish myself for when I want something. I need to say like, hey, it's okay to let it want things. Maybe I don't need to go pursue all of that, but the wanting is a good mechanism. Let it be, let it do its thing, you know.
Yeah. At least it made us think.
Yeah, for sure. That's the whole point, I think. Okay, let's move on to Mr. Ryan. Maybe he's got some other third point or fourth point of view on this.
Ryan says, the writer Stefan Zweig, known for his Stoic-esque wisdom, was at one point one of the best-selling authors in the world, only to have his life destroyed by the rise of Hitler. It's a sad yet timeless rhythm of history. Politicians are run out of office for taking a stand we later recognize as courageous. Countless hardworking and prosperous couples have their money stolen by financial crooks. Someone is accused of a crime but not vindicated until years later. At any moment, we may be toppled from our perch and made to do with less money, less recognition, less access, less resources, even the lesses that come with age, less mobility, less energy, less freedom. But we can prepare for that in some way by familiarizing ourselves with what that might feel like. One way to protect yourself from the swings of fate and from the emotional vertigo that can result is by living within your means now. So today we can try to get used to having and surviving on less so that if we are ever forced to have less, it would not be so bad.
Yeah. Something about like, I keep hearing grateful, like the gratefulness or like being grateful and like that somehow is popping up with this, like be grateful for what you already have. And if I do that, then I'm not really, I feel like I'm not missing anything. I don't need anything else, right? Like I'm so grateful for what we have already. I would just want to take care of it and have it the way it is and make it better and improve it. Continuous improvement, yay, of course. But there's no like this, like, oh, like, yeah.
Yeah, gratitude could be a good thing to kind of notice whether or not that's present, because then if you are already feeling grateful and then a want arises, a want is probably representing that sort of continuous improvement that you're talking about. Even if the want feels like ridiculous, like, oh, I want an electric one-wheel skateboard or something like that. Like that might feel like a ridiculous want, but if you are feeling grateful and your life, the quality of your life is not fluctuating based on whether or not you have this skateboard.
Right.
But like, let's say you want it and you even pursue that want and you get it, that at that point is like a reflection of like, let me continuously improve my experience of life. And let me go assert myself and be present with the world. So I could see that kind of creating some clarity where it's like, it's fine to want the fun toy. It's fine to want to go do fun things or to want nice things. Like all of that is fine as long as it's sitting on top of a foundation of gratitude for what I have now.
It's not filling some hole or something that's, yeah.
And I liked in the Huberman podcast that we listened to the other night that the psychologist guy was saying that in order to feel gratitude, there's a level of humility. And so gratitude actually, because that's also been a question. It's like, okay, well, great. I know that it's important to feel grateful, let's say. But what if I don't feel grateful? How do I conjure that up in a way that doesn't feel like, let me write down a bullet point list of things I'm grateful for each morning and just hope that that feeling fills up that space, you know? But like, what conditions need to be true in order for that feeling to just naturally arise on its own? And it's like, oh yeah, it's humility. It's like, yeah. I'm a part of this.
I'm not in charge of this.
I'm not in charge of this. I'm a part of this. I'm the same part of this that everybody else is. And my ebbs and flows as part of this thing is natural.
And it is also difficult to accept this thing for everyone here. You know what I mean? That we are part of it, that we're not in charge of it. Right? Because someone might say, well, that's so really difficult to accept. Yes, it is also that samely difficult for every single one of us. Right? Like
because we all want to feel special.
Because we all want to be special.
Yeah.
Special good or special poor me, which some other way, right? Like, no, I'm just part of this the same way as everyone else, and it's hard for everyone as it is for me. Yeah.
Nice.
Somehow when we're together, it feels better. When we have when we know that we all are in the same river, you know, in the same flow. You know, we're in the different spots in that flow, but we are all going.
Because that's more true, actually, than our individuality.
Yeah.
Like, we come from another human being, we return back to something that's a collective something or other. So that is more true than the truth of, I'm an individual, I'm going to make my stamp on the world.
Right. There always reminds me of traffic, like realizing that when we're in the traffic, you're in that flow, right? And when you're We're like, I want to get out of this traffic. We want to get out of that flow, right? We want something that is hard to achieve for us. We can't go against it. We have to go with it or something, yeah. And that's liberating. That's actually really like, oh shit, wow, I have all these friends. We're all in this together. It's not like this traffic is only affecting me, right? No. We are all stuck over here if we're stuck. But don't worry, it's gonna start moving soon. Yay. Good seeing you all.
Have a good one. See you tomorrow. Is it working?
This button never works.
Are we still recording?
Mm-hmm.
Hello again.
Hello again. Just clicking the button.
Hello, goodbye.
No bueno. Okay. We'll do it manually. Back to the feet.
Back to manual.